This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Hi, I'm Sarah Donchie in for Juliette Goodrich alongside sports director Vern Glenn. Willie Mays was one of baseball's greatest players and oldest living Hall of Famer. He personified the joy of the game and was known for his basket catches and his dashes around the bases with his cap flying off. Tonight, we remember the Say Hey Kid. Willie Mays has died at the age of 93. In a joint statement with the Giants, his family said he passed peacefully, surrounded by loved ones. Just 2 days before a game between the Giants and St. Louis Cardinals to honor the Negro Baseball League at Rickwood Field in Birmingham, Alabama. Again, our Vern Glenn joining me now to reflect on just the legend of this incredible player in person.
Birmingham, Alabama, where his greatness began. His high school didn't even have a baseball team. So he just displayed his athleticism and, again, his love for the game, his glass half full attitude, his presence. When he walked in the room, you knew he was there. And then that cackle all through the room that people would just look, because you could really kind of feel just how much he loved the game. He loved being around people. He loved telling stories. And he gave me a nickname, Sarah. He called me Pee-wee. There's a story behind that later in the show. But Willie Mays, just, in my mind, the greatest five-tool player. Hit with power, run, throw, field. He was great. Let's honor the man.
Here's the pitch to Willie. Swung on, hit deep to left. That one is way back, way back, way back. Well, that's by number 600 for Willie Mays.
To say Willie Mays was a great baseball player is an understatement. You cannot mention the five greatest players of all time without bringing him in the discussion. Born in 1931, the son of a steel mill worker, Mays learned the game at an early age, and although his Alabama high school had no baseball team, it was clear that sport would define him. At 16, he was playing for the Birmingham Black Barons of the Negro Leagues. The day after he graduated from high school, he signed with the New York Giants, and by age 20, was in the majors playing games at the Polo Grounds. That was 1951. His career was briefly put on hold for 2 years because of military service. By 1954, he was back in a baseball uniform, doing what he did best. His over-the-shoulder catch in the '54 World Series win over Cleveland is still considered by many the greatest catch in the history of the game. He was the National League's most valuable player in 1954.
I think I've got you. Did you hit your 31st home run today? Do you play center field? Are you Say Hey Willie Mays?
It was his bat that did a lot of the talking. For 8 years running, he drove in over 100 runs. His 660 career home runs is fourth all-time. His career batting average was .302. By 1958, the Giants had moved from New York to San Francisco.
From the wonderful world of sports, we bring you Home Run Derby.
High fly ball into right center field. This may go all the way. It's way back there and gone into the right center field bleachers.
He led them to the 1962 World Series and became team captain in 1964. That was followed by another MVP award in 1965. Almost 40 years after he retired in 1973 as a New York Met, he was considered baseball's greatest living ball player, a label of which he took offense.
I never liked that. Well, if you're the greatest ball player, you just say you're the greatest ball player, rather not the living ball player. What good is that? I heard that when I first heard it. I don't know if you were around. When I first heard it, I said, well, wait a minute. You mean I got to be passed away before you guys give you credit for doing something?
He was inducted to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1979.
I arrived in New York City on a Friday at 4 o'clock, scared to death with 3 bats in my little briefcase, my glove. I didn't have a uniform. I didn't have a hat. Leo said to me, son, as long as I'm manager, you are my center fielder. You do not have to hit. Just go out and catch the ball. And from those words from Leo DeRocha, I think, gave me a little courage.
When AT&T Park first opened, a landmark statue was erected in his honor at 3rd and King Streets in San Francisco. By then, his godson, Barry Bonds, was setting home run records of his own. When Bonds passed Mays on the career home run list, Mays was there to pass on the torch.
It's no secret how special you are to me. and I'm thank you for your love, guidance, and support of me all these years. And while my dad isn't here to celebrate with me, it means the world to me that you are, and I love you.
After San Francisco won the World Series in 2010, Mays returned to New York to share the title with Giant fans there. The Polo Grounds Stadium is gone, but the streets where he once played stickball is there.
He could throw and he could field, hit for contact and for power, and of course he was so fast he could barely keep a hat on his head.
Willie Mays, the Say Hey Kid.
Say hey, say who, say Willie, that Giant kid is great.
His position in the history of baseball will live on forever. There is activity going on right now at Rickwood Field, where he made his greatness, down in Birmingham, Alabama, where he grew up. There's Dusty Baker is there. His godson, Barry Bonds, is there. And we were talking off camera. What player today would play like Barry Bonds? Just five-tool player, just could do it all. But there's activity going there today, tomorrow. The Giants fly in and play the Cardinals on Thursday. All of this in homage to the man that is gone this afternoon.
Yeah, this news just broke just a little while ago. Lauren Toms is out at Oracle Park right now near Willie Mays Plaza. Obviously, Lauren, I think fans need a little bit of time to make their way in, but you've seen a couple people stop by already?
Yeah, Sarah, we have tributes are already pouring out for Willie Mays here at Willie Mays Plaza beneath the statue of the Say Hey Kid. We've seen people come out to place flowers and say a prayer, share their thoughts about what Willie Mays means to them. And we're seeing the impact, the multi-generational impact of Willie Mays here. People are coming out with their families, and one of those fans is with me right now. I'm joined by Jelani Adams. Jelani, what brought you out here today?
You know, coincidentally, we were here for a family vacation, happened to be across the street at Lucky Strike to try to do some bowling, looked up at the TV screen and said that Willie Mays had passed away. Couldn't believe it. It was a bit of an eerie feeling, especially having direct eye line sight, you know, of his statue here in front of Oracle Park. So just a sad day.
What does the legend, the impact of Willie Mays really mean to you?
I mean, former NL MVP, I think 24 All-Star appearances. The list goes on in terms of the accolades that he racked up. I will admit, I'm a diehard Dodger fan, but you have to respect what that man did. And then when you talk about, particularly as a black athlete during the time that he played on the eve of Juneteenth, you cannot ignore the fact that Willie Mays definitely paved the way for a lot of the athletes that you see today, especially in the MLB, Mookie Betts being one. He's a legend.
He is a legend at that. Jelani, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. And we're starting to see more and more families here at Willie Mays Plaza show up. We've seen a couple people get on one knee, bow their heads, really just show their appreciation for the legend that is Willie Mays. And this, like I said earlier, his legend spans generations, and he is and will always be a huge part of the fabric, not only of the Giants, but of fans across the Bay Area, Sarah.
Yeah, Lauren, wow, what a prolific statement from
We looked at
Dodgers
each other
fan.
when he brought up the eve of Juneteenth.
Right.
News like that.
Yeah, and to his point, he said he's a Dodgers fan. Obviously, this news is reverberating across Major League Baseball and across sports. Reaction pouring in from all over the place. Ann Makovic joining us now from the newsroom with some of that tonight.
Yeah, we are hearing from both Willie Mays' real family and his Giants family. But first, within the past hour, the announcement coming from Rickwood Field. That is where Willie played his first games in the Negro League in Birmingham, Alabama.
It's with great sadness that we announce that Giants legend, Hall of Famer, Willie Mays has passed away at the age of 93. And here we are in a celebration in a ballpark where he got his start as a 17-year-old playing for the Black Barons. He was 17 when he joined them. And they won the Negro League American League that year. Willie Mays has passed away.
All right, back at home, San Francisco Mayor London Breed releasing a statement over the past half hour saying to a native San Franciscan, some things just go without question. It's foggy in the summer, cable cars go halfway to the stars, and Willie Mays is the best there ever was. Willie Mays meant so much to this city as a player, but also as a leader, staying involved in San Francisco and the Giants organization long after he retired from the game he loved. Willie Mays will forever be the greatest of Giants in the story of San Francisco. The Giants releasing a statement from May's son, Michael, saying, I want to thank you from the bottom of my broken heart for the unwavering love you have shown him over the years. You have been his life's blood. Larry Baer, the Giants president and CEO, remembered Mays saying, I fell in love with baseball because of Willie, plain and simple. My childhood was defined by going to Candlestick with my dad, watching Willie patrol center field with grace and the ultimate athleticism. Over the past 30 years, working with Willie and seeing firsthand his zest for life and unbridled passion for giving to young players and kids has been one of the joys of my life. And Giants chairman Greg Johnson saying today we have lost a true legend in the pantheon of baseball greats. Willie Mays' combination of tremendous talent, keen intellect, showmanship, and boundless joy set him apart. The 24-time All-Star, the Say Hey Kid, is the ultimate forever Giant. He had a profound influence not only on the game of baseball, but on the fabric of America. He was an inspiration and a hero who will be forever remembered and deeply missed. Also, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred remembering Willie Mays with a statement saying, in part, his incredible achievements and statistics do not begin to describe the awe that came with watching Willie Mays dominate the game in every way imaginable. We will never forget this true Giant off and on the field. Thursday's game at historic Rickwood Field was designed to be a celebration of Willie Mays and his peers. With sadness in our hearts, it will now also serve as a national remembrance of an American who will forever remain on the short list of the most impactful individuals our great game has ever known. We are going to keep bringing you remembrances all night. Please share your memories with us by tagging us at KPIX. Sarah.
All right there, Ann. This is one of those things where we all will know where we were when we heard the news of the passing of Willie Mays, just how he just touched everybody. And those statements were powerful statements. And many of those native San Franciscans who grew up and revered the man would show up to games, maybe standing or appearing to just kind of get a glimpse of him. And Mays, to his credit, would acknowledge as many of them as he could, because that was the way the guy was.